Welcome back to Romany Pirates, and where are we again but on the boat?
This beloved boat.
Oh, we are getting there. We're getting there. It's slow, but it is getting there now. You can start to see some progress going on, but we just keep hitting hurdles every step of the way. But hopefully we're going to kind of really get to the end of this week and sort of really see some changes taking place. Going back to school, isn't it? We're hitting nails here as well, so that's going to be a bit of a challenge. So this, I can't remember what they call it now, I've forgotten what it is again. This thing that the chain goes round on the ship, it's actually a cable reel. We need to cut it down because Reese has been walking past it and saying it's perfectly fine, you can walk past it. But I think it's going to be too tight for people to get round. So we need to cut it down a bit. So we've been doing like the, do you remember the maths thing at school where you hold a piece of string and go around? But the central hole is massive. So I'm having to sort of balance my fingers in the middle and go around. And then we've just hit another snag because I'm trying to go around with the jigsaw and the blade is too short to go through both pieces of wood. We've sanded this, then we'll sand that barrel down, and we need to sand the treasure chest down, so a lot of sanding today.
Yeah.
And then we need to paint the back of that, the back bit of this bit of the boat. And I need to build that floor up at the front.
So not much then, no?
Yeah.
So if you're just joining us, if you're new here and you're sort of thinking what on earth is going on, we are turning a narrowboat, canal boat, into a pirate ship. It's going to be a shop. We're going to do it as authentically as possible. And at the minute it's just it's more like a workshop than a pirate ship.
Moving it as well, you know, pressing on it so much, it's like moving it out of sync where it's meant to be.
Have you gone to sleep?
Just having a little snooze.
He's
Playing a game of whack-a-mole with this, because look, if you take my hand off that side, it comes off, and if you take your hand off that side, that comes off. So you got to stand.
It's come
like
off at
this.
bottom. Get your foot on that bottom bit.
Oh god, it's like a game of Twister.
And that leaves all that for kind of like a bit of seating area here. Some shelving or something.
So I am creating like an aged effect by sanding this down, and that's where I've got to so far. Emma is currently building the front of the ship.
So I'm building a platform basically to raise the front part of the ship up, which is where the wheel will go. So just using a bit of sort of 2x1, I think it's 2x1 actually, just to build this platform. Then we'll floorboard over it, and then we'll have the railings across the front, and hopefully it'll look good.
Go on, I want you to stand on it.
On this?
Yeah.
What have you built, Brie?
Well, it'll be more sturdy when it's connected to all other bits.
Apple pie.
But I want you to stand on it. See what happens.
Oh!
You're not trusting me at all. Right, take your hand off side. You know, that's it. Now I need you to wibble a bit and jump a bit.
Yo-ho, yo-ho, a pirate's life for me.
It's sturdy enough. Look.
So my next job is to sand this little barrel. It's actually falling to pieces, but we think if we sand it and then treat it, it's savable. It looks authentic anyway, doesn't it?
I don't like throwing things away. I don't like to you know, if you can use it, because it wasn't in great condition when we got it, we got it for free, didn't we? But a nice lady gave us it for free, but then it's got rained on and rained on and rained on. But I think I hate throwing things away. Can make use of it. I'll make use of it. Be alright. So we're going back to the boat.
of all places to go.
Where else would we be going?
The boat.
We hope you're not getting bored watching us doing this, because we're just saying, like, there's so much work to do, and you can only do it as fast as you can do it, can't you?
Yeah, it is what it is. It's you know, you can spend a full day just on one tiny section. So if you're thinking, oh, they're not making much progress, we are. It's just like
we promise.
It's a tiny details, isn't it?
People have asked us, haven't they, like, how much does it cost to boat? We can't tell you how much it costs to live on it, because we've never lived on one.
No idea. No idea.
So we can't tell you that much. Probably could, like, tell you a little bit about the cost of living in the van, which we have done a little bits in past, haven't we? And that probably tell you sort of similar stuff.
Similar kind of thing, I think.
But in terms of the boat itself, it's the cost to buy, really, isn't it? You've got lemon meringue all over your beard, like a child, look. I don't know, it's not. It's sawdust. You're covered in sawdust.
I'm covered in sawdust. Not lemon meringue. Not 5.
So in terms of sort of buying the boat, ours cost us 27,000, I think, was it? Which we took a bit of bargaining, didn't we, to get the deal. But then on top of that, we paid for extra stuff doing. So the roof on this, when we originally bought it, was like a pitched roof, because it's obviously an old replica of a working narrowboat. So you would have had all the coal on the front of it. So we had to have the pitched roof taken off, the steel roof put on with the support struts, which involved obviously like cranes and stuff to lift the steel into place and what have you. And the guy, Paul, who sold us the boat, did this for us with his friend Aaron, was it? Aaron, I think. Aaron. And so we had to pay a bit extra for that, but not as much as you would have done if you'd have gone to somebody new and got it. What else have we kind of... It costs more than what you think, is what I'd say.
It's a shock.
Yeah.
It's a shock, because I think I think the feeling is, oh, we'll buy a narrowboat and it'll be cheaper, and it just isn't, I suppose. But then again, it's like, what are you going to use it for? Obviously, we just, we needed a boat that would do for us, for the shop, and something that we could, turn into a pirate ship look. So we can only kind of go on that. If you're looking at sort of wide beam boats or narrow boats that are kind of ready to move on, you're looking at a lot more, aren't you?
Yeah, you are. I mean, wide beam boats, you're looking at, you can get them made, sort of sail away, anything from kind of 60,000 upwards I've seen, but that's really like basic. There's nothing, like there's no walls in it or anything like that. You've got to do all the stud work yourself, all the like electrics yourself. It's just basically got an engine in it and it moves, and that's about it. But your ones that are all done out that people tend to be selling on, when they've had one, they're over 100,000, aren't they, for wide beams?
You can pay as much for a boat as you can for a small house, really.
Definitely.
And then some.
Narrow beams you can get a lot cheaper, can't you? You can pick up your narrow beams, like, depending on the length of your boat, because the cost of the boat usually goes on how many feet the boat is, like, set lengthwise. So, if you're getting a really kind of small, 15-foot type of boat, then you're not going to be paying anywhere near as much as what you are for a 60-foot boat. And it really does vary. You can go as little as like 15,000, for like a 20-foot narrowboat. Or you can end up going as big as what we've done, which this one's 57 foot. So, and like Reese says, it depends on what you're wanting to use it for, really.
It's the same with a van. We get asked all the time, oh, we want to start van life, how much does it cost for a van? How long's a piece of string? You can pay 3 or 4 grand for a van, right up to 50,000-60,000 for a van. And it's what we've found in the boat world is it's very much kind of the similar sort of situation, really.
It depends on like what you're gonna spend doing it up. So if you want to have an off-grid system and it ain't got one, and you need to start putting in all your lithium batteries and your solar panels and all that, you're going to be spending a lot more money to do that. We're spending more money than we thought we would do, because it's been things like, obviously all the materials to do it out inside. We've been today and spent another £100 odd, so that just keeps adding up and adding up and adding up. Now, what, keeping a spreadsheet of it, wasn't I? But kind of giving up now, because it's just gone on for so long. I've just kind of given up. But and then you've got other costs to incur, like you've got your licensing, so your Canal and River Trust license that you need, so you can pay monthly for that, but you've got that to take into account. Again, that goes on the length of your boat, but also if it's a wide beam, you pay more as well, so it goes on that. You've got your insurance you've got to consider for your boat as well, so that depends on what you're using it for. Is it just for you? Is it for a business? All of that's going to be different costings. You've then got the cost of like moving it, so if you can't sail it up to where you need it to be, if it's on a different canal canal and you need to have it lifted out of the water and brought up on the back of a truck, you've got that cost to incur as well. So you're looking at about £3,000 it was for us just to bring it up here. You've got your mooring costs to consider, which have gone a lot higher than what they were pre-COVID.
Also considering if you are getting a boat, like you've seen, if you've watched our previous episodes, kind of trying to get a mooring somewhere, even a temporary mooring, there's that many boats now on the canal that people are like bidding against each other to get the moorings. So consider that you might be continuously cruising rather than having a mooring, and how much fuel you're then using to do that way as well, you know.
And you have the ability to keep moving every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, not everybody does. You know, there's a lot of things that add up in the costs. You know, you have to get a boat safety certificate, so you have to pay for that if you haven't already got one. You might have to get the boat blacked again underneath, which you'd have to pay for. You know, and if you need a business BSS, that's different. So if you're setting up a business on a boat, you need to have a specific boat safety certificate. If you're going to have people on your boat, which what we're planning to do, you need to get a skipper's licence, even if you're moored to the side of the canal. That's like £300 each to get your licence for that.
We're doing ours, aren't we, this week?
Next week,
sometime in the near future.
So all that, you know, is what we're saying basically is there's so many things for you to consider finances wise, which obviously, as you can see from Reese's face, finances interest him greatly.
I'm happy with a caramel latte, which this has impacted on that, and it's impacted on the amount of caramel lattes that cake that I've been able to have, which is why if you've been following us for a while, you'll have seen that the caramel lattes have kind of gone out of the window, which is you're disappointing the viewers because they enjoy it.
Can't afford any caramel lattes
at the
minute.
They enjoy it. Comment if you enjoy me scoring caramel lattes to prove I'm wrong. So if you are looking at getting a narrowboat, feel free to message us and ask us any questions. Obviously, we're new to this as well.
Yeah, we're brand new to it. We've built the platform now. I was just explaining to Reese how I've done it because I wasn't sure how we were going to make it hit this curve. But it's actually not that difficult to do. I know people make templates, but the best thing that I've found to do is just sort of get your straight pieces in first, and then once you've got your straight pieces in, put your next piece up to where it will go before it hits the side. Then measure the distance of where the wood is not hitting, and once you've done that, you can basically go from one corner of that piece of wood to where you've measured, draw a line, like a diagonal line, chop it out with jigsaw, and then it fits in more or less perfectly, really. So this is now raised up, it's totally solid. We've built like a trap door in the middle here, which I'm going to put some holes in so we can actually get it out. And then that'll be a load of storage under here as well. So this is going to be used for the ship's wheel. So ship's wheel will go up here, and we might have maybe like a treasure chest or something like that at the front. Maybe have like kids' sweets in the treasure chest and things like that people can buy. And then we're going to sort of put a railing across here, like I mentioned before, so you can just kind of walk up through the middle. So yeah, it's looking pretty good now. We're getting there with it. This feels like it's taking shape. Once it's painted like the rest of it, then I think it'll look really good.
So Emma's smashing things up outside. I just want to talk a little bit about what we've done here. So as you know, Emma's built this deck of the ship. I've been treating it and painting it. And the wheel is going to go on there. I've been sanding and painting the deck. So that's pretty much finished. I just need to go around the edges now. And for the first time, I think ever, it is starting to come together and look a little bit like a pirate ship.
Another thing to consider is time. The time that it takes to actually get all this stuff done. We thought when we got the boat that we'd basically be kind of up and running as a business within about 4 or 5 months. It takes a lot longer than that unless you're buying an established sort of business that you can just pick up and run with. Because you need the permissions from the Canal and River Trust, you have to put a business plan together, there's loads of things to consider in that. And also, like, you know, getting the boat ready, it's not just about money, it's about the time that it takes. When we first got it, we had a team of like 4 of us together. 2 of those knew what they were doing, me and Reese didn't. But we were, you know, they were instructing us. We went down, we worked for like a full solid week to try and get everything done, and came back basically with a boat that was, you know, sound in terms of structurally. because we did a load of rust treatment and stuff like that. I'll show you that actually where they put me under a cupboard, and in a little hole in order to get all the rust out. We had the whole of this floor up, we did all the underneath the floor because structurally it's just really important to get them foundations done. And then on top of that, there's all the time it's taking us to do this now, and it's the place, it's where can you do it, you know, where can you actually get the supplies that you need to your boat, which basically means you have to be in a boatyard really, you need to be out of the water. And not everybody can fit you on. Do you know, there's a long waiting list for things like that. So I'm not trying to put anybody off. Sounds like I am, but I'm not. But it's just sort of, you know, just consider the time that it takes to actually sort of get this stuff done and allow for it in your plan if you're going to think about doing out like this, whether it be to live or not a business.
The hole that Emma's on about, where she had to crawl through, is in there, and it's really, really narrow and claustrophobic, bless her, and none of myself or the other two guys working could get in. She was the only one that could fit in. And then kind of under either side of these as well is the same. So this floor we'd taken all up, and so she had to kind of crawl into there underneath. Bless her, it were really, really claustrophobic. So if you haven't seen the inside of our boat, this is it. This is the original boatsman's cabin with the original engine in there. So it's a very, very small space, is this, and when this was a working boat, a family of 6 would have been in here, and it's probably about, I don't know, probably about 8 foot space, something like that. One of the things that when we first started van life, we did it 3 times. It took us 3 times to learn this lesson. So originally we bought an old Commer. If anybody that knows the old Commer vans, I think is it 50s, 60s, I guess maybe. Sort of around the same time I would imagine as the original VW camper vans, and we bought one of those, and I drove it out, and I've never driven without power steering. So we set off along the motorway, and I just couldn't drive it. I'd never ever driven anything like that at all. Luckily Emma had, so she'd driven without power steering before, so she managed to get us home. But the lights were like little candles. It were pushing like 40 mile an hour a push down the motorway. So we got that home and sold that. Then we bought a 1980s camper van, like a proper camper van that had been kitted out. Still not learnt our lesson. That were the same. So I managed to drive that all the way home that time. But the minute I'd kind of driven it off, I was like, this is not going to work. I even phoned the guy and said, I've made a terrible mistake, can I bring it back? And obviously, naturally, we couldn't. And then we realised that we needed a modern van. At the time, we'd not really heard of van life or anything. We just knew that we needed a modern vehicle and that we were going to do it out ourselves. And that's when we started researching it. And we're like, oh, there's other people, like loads of other people that have had this idea. And so that first van was then a modern Renault Traffic we had. A little bit of me feels like we've done the same with this boat, because it's not, I'll take you through to the engine in a minute. It's not a modern engine. And the controls on the boat are not a modern way of controlling a boat either. So it's a really old-fashioned way, the traditional way of how this boat would have run. Let's go and have a look at the engine, I'll show you. So this is, I think they call it a Lister engine. Correct me if I've got that wrong in the comments. But it's a traditional Lister engine. It makes like a chug noise. Well, there's lots of things you've got to do with this engine to kind of keep it running basically and keep it cared for. And the guy we got it for gave us some lessons on how to do it, just how to maintain it basically. So we know how to take care of that. But again, that's work that you probably won't have to do as much, I would have thought, on a modern boat. So I'm starting to think now, have we done the same mistake with the boat as we did originally with the vans? I'm sure it'll be fine, but it is a lot harder work. So I'm guessing if it's just a heads up, I think if you are buying a narrowboat, or you're thinking about buying a narrowboat, just to consider like little things like that maybe we didn't kind of fully think through. But I'm absolutely optimistic. There's a couple of little quirky things on this boat, like this boat doesn't have a fuel gauge on it, so there's no way telling how much fuel is in, other than like what you would do on a car with like an oil check, an oil stick. So the controls on this boat, so this pipe here leads, which I will show you, to a little stick that you twizzle, and that speeds it up. And this one here, that one is like your gears, so there's like forward, reverse and sort of standstill. I'll show you from the other side, and again it's something else that is a little bit quirky about it, and I'm kind of a little bit worried because apparently it takes longer to slow the boat down. You can see here, like this is the one I was saying, so you twizzle that round and that makes it go faster or slower, and this stick here you pull out and in like that, so that's like a gear stick. So I think you pull it out, so so that's in forward now. You pull it into the middle for neutral, for like standstill, and then out again to reverse it, whilst doing that, speeding that up and down at the same time. So it's a little bit like rubbing your stomach and patting your head at the same time, I believe. One of the things that I absolutely love, and Emma loved as well, about this traditional working narrowboat style were just the little details of how it would have been. Like the paintings, the artwork is fantastic. It's got loads of little quirky features to it. This pulls down, so then this becomes your bed here. The little stove, which will be really nice in the winter time. We fell in love with her immediately when we saw her, and obviously the front of her will serve a purpose as well. But essentially, when we're travelling, this is where we'll be sleeping, staying, and living in this small little space. A few people have kind of said to us, "Oh, are you going to keep the traditional part, the cabin as it is?" Yes is the answer to that. We're not going to touch it. Obviously, as you can see on film, it needs a bit of a clean up. The stove totally needs kind of getting all the rust off, and yeah, just touching up. But no, we're going to keep the back of it original, just because, yeah, we just love that kind of thing, and it'd just be such a shame to spoil it. But I just hope, fingers crossed, that it will be easy to drive. We're very kind of spontaneous people. If you haven't kind of realised that already, so we just do things and we go for things. That's part of what we do, and so we'd got it without kind of testing it out. It was like, yeah, love it, let's do it. And so maybe we should have thought it through a bit more. Who knows? Time will tell.
Probably so unhygienic, isn't it, when you're doing building work? Like that kettle is grim. I'm not even going to let Reese film it because it's so grim. I was just going to explain what I've been doing with these. I've been demolishing things. I love demolishing things. I bought this TV unit for 15 quid off Facebook Marketplace because I wanted some like wrought iron work, and it's really expensive. So I bought this as like a little TV unit, like a corner TV unit. I've smashed it to smithereens. I'm going to use the doors off it and take these bits off of the top, and then hinge it to the to this platform, so we'll still be able to use it. We'll still be able to open it up, have loads of storage under there. Obviously we've got the trapdoor to get to the middle compartment, and this will just help us to get to the front compartment easier. And then I'm going to use all the bits of wood from it, which I've got sort of stacked up, to build in each end as well, so that that'll be solid. I just think it gives it that right pirate look, that, doesn't it? That like, so it's brilliant. I love it.
Stuck, look.
I'm just going to rest here a little bit. I'm alright where I am. I don't need, no, I need, it's not that I'm stuck.
You are stuck.
It's just that, you know, when you've lost, like, you've literally got no energy left whatsoever. I don't even have like an ounce to move, and I got this far and thought, no. That's it. So I'm just going to stay here, and I'm just going to have a little snooze.
Whoa! That is epic.
I wanted to do something fun.
That is amazing. So I'm reacting like this because I've just been in a meeting for the last couple of hours in the van. So I've literally come back to see how Emma's got on, and she's done absolutely incredible. Look at that, guys, now. That is a pirate ship, isn't it?
It's coming on, isn't it, now? Ready to set sail?
You might not be able to see it fully because the light's dimming and we've got the curtains up, but you can now really kind of see how that is. That's coming together now, big time, innit?
It's coming on now, yeah. Just got to fasten these on because need to sort the hinges out, put some rope between here. Got the wheel up. Coming on.
That is amazing. Well done, sweetheart.
Yo ho, me hearties.
That is absolutely epic. So we've got so much done this week.
Got loads done, haven't we? Yeah. Absolutely loads done. And I know, like, it seems as though we're being a bit negative because there is lots of things that you have to consider.
Yeah, we were a bit negative.
But you know, it's just, I think just being pre-warned a little bit, you know, there were lots of things that we didn't know about. I mean, even things like making a business plan for the Canal and River Trust before
we had no idea, did we?
So we don't even know if they're going to accept our thing yet. We're doing all this and we don't even know if we're actually going to have it accepted and be able to run a business. But honestly, it's just like having that bit of knowledge to know that it is difficult, but it's worth it. If you want to do something, just go out there and do it. You know, do you know what I mean? Like, don't worry too much about this and the boats.
Do stuff first. That's how we do it anyway. Like, just do stuff first.
We do stuff first and think later, don't we?
Yeah. I think sometimes in life, like, that's what you've got to do. You've just got to kind of go for it and see what happens, you know. And I think otherwise you're forever thinking, yeah, but what if this, what if that, you know. So if you you know, just do it.
Just do it, yeah. Just act first, think later if you want to follow us.
Yeah.
If not, then be sensible, and we're not at all sensible.
Not in the slightest.
Sometimes I think if you're too aware of everything before you do it, you just wouldn't do anything, would you?
Nah, you've just got to go for it.
You know, you just got to go for it. So if you've got anything you want to do, any dream, any plan, whatever it may be, however stupid other people might think it is, don't worry about it. Just go for it. Just do it. Just grab life and run with it.
You only live once, don't you? And you've just got to do those things.
Yeah, you've got to write your own story.
So thank you so much for watching. We will be back next Monday at 8 p.m. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, and it will let you know and remind you that we are on. And like Emma says, write that story.